Green New Deal.
The Green New Deal.
The Green New Deal.
The so-called Green New Deal.
Last year, U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey proposed the Green New Deal. Broadly speaking, the GND is a set of policy reforms that aim to address climate change and economic inequality in America. Since it came out, the Green New Deal has made its rounds in mainstream media. Depending on who you ask, they'll tell you that it's either great,
a comprehensive agenda of economic, social, and racial justice,
or that
it would be basically the end of civilization.
The GND has gotten a lot of attention from both sides of the aisle, and both sides of the mainstream partisan media. Studies show that partisan coverage of the Green New Deal is polarizing public opinion on the resolution. Yale researchers suggest that conservative Fox News coverage has gone up, while support for the deal among its viewers has gone down. Meanwhile, support from liberals and moderates has stayed mostly the same. This partisan split is shown right here in New Mexico. Here's a map representing every county in New Mexico displaying how many votes were cast for the federal Democratic candidates in the 2018 elections. The darker counties represent a higher percentage of Democratic votes being cast. The lighter counties represent a lower percentage. Next to it, we have a map showing Yale University survey data tracking the percentage of each county that believes that global warming is happening. Again, the darker the county, the higher the percentage. If you think that these might just be the same map in different colors, you're not totally wrong. There's a high correlation between the amount of Democratic votes cast in a given county and the relative belief of global warming in that county. For reference, just a 0.4 coefficient of correlation is usually considered significant for this type of data. In other words, those casting Democratic votes tend to believe global warming is happening. This looks the same across the aisle too. Here's a map showing how many votes were cast for the Republican candidates in the same elections last fall. Next to it, we have a map showing more Yale data, this time illustrating the percentage of people in each county who claim that climate change is not happening. The correlation coefficient here, more than 0.93, indicating that those casting Republican votes are less likely to believe in global warming. These levels of correlation suggest that, to a very significant degree, New Mexicans' belief in climate change is connected to party affiliation.
So the research shows that party affiliation strongly dictates what you think is right for action on climate change and your opinion on climate change science. So if you're watching partisan news and they're covering the Green New Deal in a negative light, then that's going to be your main way of thinking about it.
Yet hope for change is still alive, and it seems that Americans as a whole are finally starting to come around on climate change. Here we have more data from Yale. In March of 2015, they ran a survey to measure how alarmed Americans were about climate change. Possible responses ranged from alarmed, concerned, cautious, disengaged, doubtful, and dismissive. These were the results. 4.5 years later, they ran the same survey. Here are those results. The portion of people who said they're alarmed by climate change more than doubled over this span of time, while the portion of dismissive or doubtful responses dropped by 8 points. Over the past few years, Americans, regardless of their party lines, seem to have really started to recognize the climate change issue. In spite of this trend, we haven't seen much progress on climate reform policy. Clearly, there's a lot of work to be done if we're going to close the divide.